Here, everyone. I'm excited. We've got the trouble with tribbles, or maybe it's software integration. You're watching Techstrong Gang. Hey, guys. Happy Friday. It's another week in 2025. It's before you know it, it'll be June. We're almost through January, but you know what? We've had an amazing Techstrong Gang month of January, not only because of our great gang members, but it's just been a crazy month with stuff going on here, right? How often do we invest $500 billion in Ether? But that was yesterday's show. If you missed it, catch it. Today, we've got the trouble with tribbles, as I mentioned. Well, that's Star Trek, but there might be trouble in software integration town. We're going to hear about that. We're going to hear about a couple of other things. But first, let me introduce you to our full house of Techstrong Gang members today. Some of them sporting their gang color clothes and everything, and cups. First of all, I think we'll go west to east. We'll start out in the west. And if you're going to start in the west, you got to start at the top. The king of the valley there, John Swartz. John, I see you're back home. It's good to see you. How are you?
Yes, it's good to be home. Hey, yesterday, very interesting thing. I was just going to drop this in because I want to write about this eventually. I stopped by a stealth AI safety risk assessment startup. They're doing something that a lot of AI companies do. They're holed up in a house. So they're all living in the house together, putting together the company.
Sounds like a
What I-
TV show.
It does.
I met
Silicon
like
Valley.
3 or 4 of the members. Yeah.
I
Sounds
believe
like
the kids call that a hype house.
sounds like every startup I ever knew. So I don't know. But anyway.
Well, Benioff started Salesforce in an apartment, which is weird. But in any event, the reason why this company is interesting is that Eric Schmidt is, in a sense, one of their advisors, and one of the people who will be one of the executives there is help write the Biden's executive order that on AI guardrails that was just revoked by Trump. So it was pretty interesting. They sent pretty interesting things to tell me about where they think this is going and
All right,
fodders.
can we move along to the topics at hand?
It's good to be with everybody.
All right. Well, moving right along then, let's go to our next Silicon Valley resident there. If John's the Tsar, she's the, I don't know, the Duchess
Sarina?
of Silicon Valley, Lisa
Oh,
Martin.
I love
Hey,
Duchess.
Lisa, how are you?
Good morning, Alan. Great to see you guys. We have a lot of integration things to talk about today. I'm going to weave that theme through all blocks.
Absolutely. One of my favorite topics. Moving next, I guess Colorado is further west than Texas. So we'll stop high on the Rockies and say hello to Mitch Ashley. Mitchell, it's good to see you. How's everything?
Very good. I'm looking forward to a very integrated conversation.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. And then moving from Mitchell to Texas, it's our own Ann Ahola Ward. I think I almost got that right.
Nailed
Yeah.
it. Nailed it.
Okay. Thank you, Ann. It's good to have you here. You
Thank
did. You changed your New Year's. Is that Valentine's Day up there?
It's Valentine's and birthday. Yeah, it was my birthday.
It
So
was your birthday.
Oh,
Oh, happy
happy
birthday.
birthday.
Why have so many
Happy
flowers? Thank you.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy
Ann.
birthday.
thank
for
you. It's
you.
why I have flowers.
All
and
right.
I figured, why not get all the hearts out?
And you wanted to, speaking of birthdays, it's our curmudgeon up in Harrison, Chief Content
you go.
Officer Mike Fazard. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Not going to say anything more. I want to jump right into things.
All right.
Our first topic today, I mentioned it was the trouble with software integration. We got a shootout at the OK Corral here? What's happening? What's the problem? John, you wrote about this, I think.
Yes. Futurum Intelligence did a report by Keith Kirkpatrick, and they in a sense, he kind of, in a sense, when we talked to each other, it was almost in a sense like a 3D jigsaw puzzle being fit together between existing software and then integrating AI into it, all the while under pressure from the C-suite to do it as fast as possible. So we discussed this. The survey was conducted in the fall of 2024, and it kind of offers us a snapshot into the choices customers face over the price and functionality of Gen AI and other apps, while assuring management their prudent investments. And I think the reason why this is really interesting and very newsworthy is because there are so many choices these companies are going to have to make based on all these agentic AI offerings from every conceivable software company around. And it's going to be a lot of incredible pressure from Wall Street to show customers are making the right choices and integrating things in the right way, according to Keith. And some companies are considering consumption models as part of their strategy. And I kind of would turn this to Mitch because he's the expert in this area. It's probably not surprising, but I think there is a sense of urgency now that there hasn't been in quite a while.
Well, and by the way, shout out to Keith Kirkpatrick, who is the practice lead for enterprise applications, colleague of mine at Futurum. It's interesting because the survey was back in, end of last year, mid last year. And the pace, we all know the pace of how things are changing with AI agents and AI bots and AI interfaces, and everybody's using kind of their own. People are sometimes buying it, or it comes with your Google or your Microsoft, or you upgrade your subscription to it. And kind of as a former CIO, the challenge in that situation is everybody has their favorite, so they always want you to integrate their thing. And so you also have to be able to demonstrate. So if we spend all this money on Slack or on AI for whatever platform that we use, what's the benefit? What's the ROI? And because they aren't cheap, you're talking about $10, $20 or more, $30 per user for these kind of capabilities. We are seeing that now. I mean, there's a lot of kind of people talking about Google agent space as kind of having the lead because they really naturally have integrated into all the Google Workspace suite, and everybody needs to catch up with them. I imagine in 2 months it'll be catch up with Microsoft or whoever. So it's like a 3D puzzle moving at 100 miles an hour. That's the problem we're trying to solve here.
Mitch, it seems to me at least that I think 75% of the people said that they have an issue with this, and I assume the other 25% were lying or just clueless. Integration's been a mess as long as I can remember. So how does this get any better ever?
It is. It's one of the biggest jobs of IT organizations is integrating all these tools. And that's why you see such a move to platforms, whether it's data platforms, development, DevOps, whatever kinds of platforms. And I think that's the real race that's going on here is Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI trying to lock you into their ecosystem, right? Get you so invested in their capabilities. OpenAI is supposed to come out with the operator to be able to access information on your computer. Is that the right way to go? Or should we just, we're a Microsoft shop, we'll keep on the Copilot Plus path. So as a CIO, you're looking at this and say, how much am I going to spend, not just on the tools, but people to integrate and support all this stuff, especially when it's changing quickly? I think they're going to pick their primary platform and probably ride that in most cases until things settle out a little bit more, which may make it harder for them to switch to anybody else down the road, frankly.
I think there's a subtle nuance here. And I didn't speak to Keith, you did, John, between software integration and communication. I think we've made tremendous strides using APIs and zaps and stuff like that over the last 10 years, whatever, of one software being able to transfer data, kick off some sort of action, communicating and working together, right? I think we've cracked that nut to a large degree. Look, I mean, the success of APIs talks to that, where that's the majority of traffic on the internet are APIs talking to APIs. Now, if you're saying that's not integration, that's just communication, Okay, that's a nuanced kind of discussion. And then so the question then begs, what is true integration? Is it you live on my platform and you no longer exist as a standalone piece of software? Is that integration? Because what about API and communication and so forth, interoperability? Is that not enough to be true integration? Because if it is integration, I say BS. We got plenty of integration out there.
You have a good point because APIs give you access. They don't necessarily mean things are integrated. Think
Mhm.
about
Yeah.
how Copilot might be integrated into all the tools that you use in the UI. It's just part of it. It isn't sitting up there as a clippy thing that's going to bother you or another window or screen. So and APIs, Alan, are central to AI agents being able to
Sure.
talk to other traditional systems as well as between agents. So it's part of the fabric of it. But to your point, integration isn't just connecting the dots between different applications and systems. It gives access, but that may be all.
There's also a difference between an API and what people call a connector, right? Which is a more polished version of something that I can invoke that is not just raw bits. Because I think just exposing an API doesn't do a whole lot for most people who are trying to integrate something.
And you have to build it, right?
Mm-hmm. And
I think if we
maintain
look
it.
at it from, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Good, Lisa.
I was going to say, I think if we look at it from a customer perspective, I look at it in marketing. I do a lot of work with Boomi integration platform as a service. I MC a lot of their events, and we look at it from a customer centric point of view. And customers just expect all of the data that companies have around them is going to not be siloed. It's going to be integrated. It's going to be accessible. You think about all of the different SaaS applications that vendors have and the number of apps that people have open at any one time. We expect these seamless business processes. We expect data to be available so that companies can truly be data companies to deliver value to the customer, and the customer doesn't care. They just want to make sure that what data a company has on them is just that, is integrated so that the business processes that concern that customer are delivered and the value is proved.
John, in speaking to the analyst, was there this distinction between APIs and true integration?
There was one of the things that Keith pointed out in the study or the survey that was interesting. Something I should have been mentioned earlier. It's just when we talk about the applications that have been deployed. I think was it 1/5 of the respondents said they deploy more than 11. And I think there was one other thing that more than half of those said their application technology stack blended applications developed in house. It's just Alan, it's just like this kind of sense of frustration, and we see this undercurrent in a lot of the stories and segments we talk about. Just the pressure down that permeates in the middle, and then these decisions that have to be made. And so it's not going to get easier, basically.
No, I don't think it is. All right, if we have nothing else on this, let's take a quick break, and we'll jump into our B block here, which is the future of product development in the age of AI, or Aquarius, or is that the fifth dimension? I don't remember. You're watching Techstrong Gang.
SecurityBoulevard.com is the leading resource for news, analysis, and education on challenges facing the cybersecurity industry. SecurityBoulevard.com covers all aspects of cybersecurity, including data security, DevSecOps, cloud security, application security, network security, security threats, and more. SecurityBoulevard.com has the largest selection of security content, featuring breaking news, blog posts, podcasts, and more. Visit www.securityboulevard.com to learn more. SecurityBoulevard.com, home of Security Bloggers Network.
All right, folks, we're back. In Talon's point, we're going to talk a little bit about AI and product development and marketing and where all that data is going. And I know this is in Lisa's sweet spot, but there's a story on Digital CXO talking about this issue. And it feels like maybe we're getting a little more data driven in our product development, but I got to wonder, where does that spark of ingenuity start to show up if we're keep using the same old data. So Lisa, what's going on here? How do we strike a balance?
Great question, Mike. This is such an interesting topic to me because as long as I've been in marketing, which is almost 20 years now, which can't believe, product managers have, and I was a product marketing manager for many years, working very closely with PMs. They've been tasked at really guiding the strategic direction of a product. They have to balance what the customers want, what the business wants, what's technologically feasible, and historically they've done that by customer advisory boards, customer feedback, which is still incredibly important, but also market research, competitive analysis. And now with a data science as a foundation, they're able to use machine learning, predictive analytics to make truly data-driven decisions and things like um, predicting future user behavior. How are users interacting with our products? How do we prioritize one feature over the other? And so the role of PMs is changing, I think, for the better. And there's a lot of alignment or integration, I'll say, with marketing, because what we expect is to have all of this telemetry on how customers are interacting with their products to be able to make informed decisions in a timely fashion, almost in real time, so that the vendor is competitive. There's a number of alignments, I'll say integration as well, just to be cheeky, with data science, PM, and marketing that I really thought was great in this article. And the first one is user segmentation. It's incredibly important to understand where users are based on their behavior, how are they interacting with product features. This helps PMs develop personas, and then marketing can take the development of personas and the buyer's journey per persona to the next level and facilitate that buyer's journey and understand what content do we use, what do they want to see at certain stages of that journey to get them qualified into a salesperson. Also, A/B testing is a great alignment where data science is great for PMs as well as marketing. It's been around for a long time. As I said, I've been in the industry for 20 years, and the A/B testing is nothing new. And it's not, but it's a staple of product management. It's a staple of product marketing. And it really can kind of take the user segmentation that we just talked about to the next level. Machine learning and algorithms can help not just determine which feature is performing better, as I mentioned, but also how are those different user segments that they've determined and that they've identified, how are they interacting with the technology? And the third one is churn prediction. It's definitely more cost effective to market to and retain customers than it is to attract new customers. Every organization has percentages of both, especially from a marketing standpoint. But it's really important to understand from a PM standpoint and a marketing standpoint, who's churning, who's likely to churn, why, what is it that we can do feature-wise so we'll start reducing and dialing down that churn. Maybe it's introducing new engagement models or customer support. So data science as a foundation for product management in alignment with marketing goes a long way to really helping companies become data-driven and delivering what customers want, which is that lifetime value.
Excellent. Excellent. You know, what about digital twinning, right? For product. It came to me while I was listening to you, Lisa. I've been doing a lot of interviews lately with some big companies, I think Siemens, for instance, right, has created this whole digital twin sort of platform where you can take your physical product, a boat even, and you create a digital twin of it and see how it'll react in different sort of weather conditions or sea conditions, for instance. I wonder if we haven't thought about digital twinning products into some sort of, virtual environment and
That's a great idea.
to see what
I think for
the
security, yeah, that would be amazing
Oh,
to
that
see
would
in
be great for
security.
security, right? Because you could set up your whole environment, drop this in there, and
Mhm.
and play it out.
I think we've seen people doing that, especially like on high-end products, whether it's, for example, an aircraft engine or something like that, where there's millions of dollars. But I'm not quite clear that digital twinning has gotten cheap enough for everybody to go use for
Mm,
product
Oh,
sure.
development.
I think it has. I think it may not be cheap enough for, a lower level software product, but I think the technology for digital twinning and creating that virtual environment to play in, sandbox, if you will, or I think someone already took that name. Um, but I think it's cheaper than ever. It's cheaper than ever, and every day it's getting cheaper with AI and machine learning and stuff like this.
Well, not to make AI agents the solution to everything, but if you dig down into kind of what are AI agents and what are the different types and kinds, and actually have a brief coming out soon. I'll plug it when it comes out. But if you look at it, there are AI agents that are reactive to triggers and things happening in the environment, like an image or a light source changing. There's also goal oriented. There's utility oriented. There are learning agents, which would be something that might enhance or maybe even replace what a digital twin knows. And then there's hybrids of these, and of course, multi agents from the same or different providers. So I think, Alan, what intrigued me about your comment too is that AI agents could potentially be part of that digital twin, whether it's technically representing it that way or just representing it through the data that it gathers and the inferences that it makes. So, when instead of just presenting us with information for here's the flights and the hotel availability, book all that, but take into account my calendar, my workload, what's kind of pending to potential invites, the travel time, my preferences, personalize all of that for me, and then deal with all the changes that happen in my environment instead of me dealing with all that information and taking action on it.
I love it. I mean, I'll tell you something. I was planning a trip, and I went into one of the AIs. I use a lot of the different AIs that I'd like to see the differences. And I said, give me a 3-day itinerary to go, or 4-day itinerary to go here and there. And it laid out a beautiful itinerary, better than anything I would get from Fromm's or something like that. And I just because I'm crazy like this, I said, okay, go make my reservations at these restaurants and pull up the flights and, let's book them. And, the AI very politely told me, jack off. He said, we don't do that. We don't do that.
I don't have that feature on
That's
my
not my
AI.
job. That's not my job. But I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if it was, And I mean, tell me, Mitch, you're the AI agent, man. Am I going to be able to do that soon? Because that would put the cherry on my sundae, right?
I think that's, to me, one of the potentials. The real value of AI agents is not presenting us with more information, which what AI did for you, right? It gave you a really good itinerary, which is super. That's very valuable. And to your point, the need is, well, I don't want to know, how do I execute
Like,
on
there were
that? I want
12
to go
things in
do
there.
all
Go do them.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to do those things for me. And that's going to take AI agents talking to others, both AI agents, but also traditional systems,
Back to the
APIs, data
software
sources,
integration problem.
services, making the payment. Exactly. Back to the integration. So, when Satya Nadella said that SaaS is gone, it's all going to be agents. I think it's a hybrid world where we see agents talking to traditional services and systems, APIs, et cetera, to accomplish it. That's the world I want to live in, where you can say, make it so. It would be Captain Picard.
If you do that, you got to go like that, Mitch, when you say it.
Make it so.
And let me ask you something about all this. Do you think that the pace at which products are rolled out and updated is going to accelerate as a result of all of this? And we might have a new product launch every 3 months, or will it go the other way where we're just adding new features to everything constantly and there isn't such a thing as a product launch because, well, there was the first launch and now everything's just an update?
I definitely think the features. I think features are a lower lift. I think features have a quicker opportunity for revenue. They're, taking advantage of money you already have coming in. You add a little bit more to that income stream versus trying to go get a new one. And I think it's less jarring. I think whatever is the easiest way to take the money is the way that's going to happen. And the way that this works is if you slowly stack it up, right? Like we watch these services slowly add little features and then they hike up the price and it's $2, $3 at a time. And so I think that's probably what we're going to see.
I think we're
Especially
already
as
seeing it.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to get more subtle and the increments will get smaller, but it's going to happen. The prices will go up.
I mean, look, not to segue into our next block and talk about phones, but for most of the world, even for most of us in the tech industry, our biggest the applications we interact with the most live on our phones. I don't know about you, but I think I have over 100 apps on my phone. I'm crazy.
Easily.
But I've
Yeah,
got over
easily.
100 apps on my phone. Every single one of those apps is being updated, if not daily, at least weekly, I think. We don't pay attention. We've become numb, and I don't know if that's a good thing, but we've become numb to the constant, continuous update. And I couldn't tell you what version of this app that I'm running. Surprisingly, I can tell you what version of iOS, for instance, I'm running, or what version of Mac OS, but even Windows, right? I mean, it used to be a big deal when Windows would upgrade from, Windows 95 to 98 to ME or whatever, and we have Windows 10 and Windows 11, but think about all the incremental upgrades that take place in Windows or your Mac or your phone, whether it's Android or whatever. We don't even pay attention to them. We're desensitized to it.
Yeah.
Well, to Ann's point, that's what happened with Apple and intelligence, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't a big OS
Not
drop
at
and
all.
everything's in it, right? Incrementally, and that got added, and we're still seeing new features roll out in small releases.
Right. Not since the launch of OS 10 has Apple had something that dramatic and that different that caught everybody's hearts and minds.
Yeah, but you had to sign up for a beta to use it, right? I'm still on the beta cycles. And I still don't necessarily know how great this Apple Intelligence is, to tell you the truth, other than the little thing that makes cartoon pictures. And you get those pretty neon light around it. I'm not 100% sure I'm buying it. But we'll save that for the next block. We'll save it for the next block. Anything else on product development, though, in the AI world?
I think
one
that,
other thing- Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead,
Lisa.
Mitch. Okay.
No, no, no.
I was going to say from a kind of customer perspective, this article had some great examples of Airbnb and Amazon. And I always kind of default to Amazon. I don't do a lot of Airbnb myself, but there's so much data that's collected. And we have this expectation in our consumer lives that bleeds in, and I talk about this all the time, to where business lags, where things like Amazon are going to use AI to make predictions based on past behaviors we've done in a non-creepy way. There's a line there. Maybe it's dotted, but we have that expectation that the experience will be seamless. They're going to serve me up relevant information so I can make a buying decision, because the better the customer experience, and PM and marketing have a lot to do with that, the more sales go up, the more revenue comes into a company. So I think the integration piece, the data science piece, foundationally is really critical for that customer experience, delivering the value that customers ultimately expect.
So let me give you an Amazon gone wrong real life story on that, Lisa. So I have the big 15-inch Alexa screen in our kitchen that I use as like a digital center from my home. And if you guys have all used Alexa, when you get a notification from Amazon, it blinks yellow or you get a yellow light around it. I don't know how much you guys use it, but I get a notification. I said, "Hello, Alexa, what's my notification?" "Hello, Alan. Good afternoon, Alan. A product you're following has been reduced $3. I said, "What product, Alexa?" "Well, it's the dough wagger, cat bed, rabbit hutch, cat tree." They started giving me all these products. I don't have rabbits. I don't have cats. I don't know where the hell it got it from. So I said, "Alexa, I'm not interested in this. Please take it off my list." "Oh, would you like me to add this to your list?" I said, "No, take it off my list." So AI gone wrong. I bought a dog bed one time a year ago, and now it's trying to give me every animal hutch and bed that they've got over there.
I guess the lesson is don't doom scroll rabbits.
No, well, I'm trying to take it off. It won't let me take it off.
And it won't. Interesting. That is a good example of AI gone wrong. I don't have an Alexa because I have Siri, and that's enough. It's listening. I have a dog named Claire. When I call her Clary, Siri pops up. Probably will do it right now. But so I don't have the Alexa experience, and so I'm old fashioned, Alan, where I'm on the Amazon website or I'm on the app, and I have good experiences where it's surfing up relevant information. But you make a good point: is where is it getting that information that's surfing you up wrong, irrelevant content? That's a question mark.
But don't assume that it was you that did it. Anyone that shared a computer or, a phone that was
point.
near your phone and your GPSs were turned on, your phones are talking. So someone close to you geographically on their phone could have bought it. Someone could have used a shared computer. If you and your spouse share a login, don't assume that it was you that did it because your data is
point.
getting creeped
Well, I'm
from
going home and
all over.
asking Bonnie if she's been searching for rabbit hutches. That's
You might
all.
be getting a new rabbit.
Maybe
I
we're
just want
getting
to
a
thank
rabbit.
Happy
I just wanna
birthday,
thank
early.
all of you
Rabbit
for
don't
saying
die.
Alexa 20 times because I don't know what I'm going to show up on my Alexa now.
It is getting crazy. I'll tell you, we have this attic and there's a ladder that goes up in the attic, and I had it down the other day, and sure enough, an email pops up asking me, am I interested in these awesome new attic ladders? And I'm like, I didn't even talk about it. I didn't mention it, in some sort of video captured something somewhere, and it was just kind of weird.
Wow. Yep. Yep. That's
Um,
crazy.
It is.
Again, it didn't have to be you. It didn't have to be your phone. Your
Right.
spouse's phone, a friend's phone, someone in the vicinity, your neighbor that was your phone was near their phone. They're having a conversation whether you realize it or not.
Scary world. It's a scary
Wow.
world. All right, let's take a break here on Techstrong Gang because we're overtime on this block. We're going to stay on that phone theme coming back at you, though. You're watching Techstrong Gang.
All right, as we were talking about earlier, this whole Samsung versus Apple thing continues to play out. The latest is the fight over AI, and Samsung has a new phone out there talking about how it can access external LLMs and have Bixby on your phone. And whether these two things are actually talking to each other is a mystery to me. But Anne, what is your take on what's going on here with Samsung, Apple, AI? It seems like, it's a boxing match.
Oh, absolutely it is. I mean, these are two players competing on a level that most can't and don't. I should say that I am ex-Apple. This is the only big company I ever worked for. And Samsung has been my client for almost a decade and has been very good to me. So I have love for both companies. So I say this from a place of love. I do think Samsung's phones are absolutely more innovative. I will say that because I am an Android user through and through. I've used Android phones as the majority phone for a long time because of the amount of control and power it gets. These S25 series Galaxy phones have a boost of AI features that I think have been unseen as of yet because they have cross-app experiences and integration with Gemini, Google's AI, to perform tasks across multiple apps. So I think we're going to see sort of more active assistance coming from these phones, especially for things like calendar events, sort of more like an actual assistant, which we haven't really seen from these phones yet. They also have improvements to existing features like the gallery app, circle to search, sort of the things we've seen on Google Pixel phones and other things. It's catching it up, but it has the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 chipset, and so from a hardware perspective, is going to be tough to beat. Um, I would say if you're looking at sort of the core features, when you're looking at an Apple phone, you're using ChatGPT as your third-party AI integrator, right? And now with Galaxy, you're looking at Google. So it's not really truly Samsung versus Apple as much as it is ChatGPT or Samsung, sorry, versus ChatGPT and Google. I mean, it's the alliances within these two that I think makes it really interesting. So I think making a choice as a consumer, If you value privacy, integration, and a subtle sort of AI experience where it's not so much in your face, Apple is your best choice. I think Galaxy makes sense if you want more features, crossing between apps, multiple devices, live translation, and you don't mind the AI feeling and presence and watching it and having it feel a part of your experience. I think Galaxy AI is definitely your choice.
Yeah, this is interesting. I remember when Samsung or Apple used to make an announcement, it always was hardware heavy. Now we're seeing, beginning last year with Samsung, the sign is the smartphone makers are leaning on AI to make their phones stand out. I think Galaxy AI last year was the big focus. And I think now, but instead of focusing on individual AI powered features like generative edits, Samsung's incorporating AI into its phones on a more fundamental level. And in a sense, as part of the settings. And it's interesting because, in a sense, this stands out. And when you compare it with Apple, Apple is kind of slowly rolling this out. And there is a genuine concern, not just on Wall Street, but I think within Apple, the stocks have been hammered lately among concerns about iPhone sales tapering off. And there's a lot of attention being set on what impact, if any, Apple Intelligence will have. I don't think it will immediately. I think it's going to happen probably later in the year as more of these features become available. But it is part of the story. And for years, and Ann knows this as well as anybody, Samsung was in a weird way chasing Apple or dueling for the top spot in smartphone sales. It rarely got the buzz that Apple did, even though its feature sets were better, probably. And now it's, in a sense, kind of leapfrogged Apple. And it will be interesting to see what Apple does when it rolls out the new AI features and what impact they might have at all.
What I Yes, you're absolutely right. I think Samsung has gotten less fanfare. I think they've gotten less media attention. Here they are quietly making these beautiful screens, beautiful products. I think they both make beautiful products, but I do think Samsung has been short shifted in the press. I do also think that, you know, when it comes down to it, someone's getting the bill. Someone always gets the bill, right? So who's getting the bill for this new intelligence that we know they're spending billions building? I think Apple is going to do probably a freemium model. They're going to have paid tiers because that's what they do. I think we're going to see free access. I think for now, at least. And so that's going to be something consumers will notice. But again, how are they going to monetize all of this? I think right now we're in the wild, wild west, let's get them hooked sort of phase. But eventually, I think you're going to expect to see subscription costs for this. And it will be, something you're expected to pay for, not just the hardware of the phone or the service with your provider.
And
Lisa,
how
do
do you
you
think
have
that
a
will change?
sense?
Go ahead. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Do you have a sense whether people actually switch phones when these announcements come, or are we all like Apple people and Samsung people, and we're just along for the ride?
Most people
I
are
was
zealots. I would say there is such a thing as digital tribalism. And I have been berated for being a primary Android user. I will tell you, I secretly also use my secret phone as an iPhone. And that's just so I can stay up on all features. And when startups come to me, a lot of the time they don't have an Android app yet. So I have to have both and I have to be fluent in both, but I prefer Android. And I get so much grief for that from Apple people because they're like, your text are green. You can't do this thing. And it's like, why do you care what color my text is? But it's a very real thing where the more you get locked into Apple, and the reason I use a Mac, I have an iPad. The reason that I don't use a primary Apple phone is that I can't give them everything, and I won't give them everything. I won't give one company everything because once you're in, you can't get out. Once all your
Yeah.
stuff's in iCloud, you can't get out. And I just can't let them have it.
Lisa, you want to add to that?
I was just going to ask kind of question and you really answered it, like from a cost perspective, as you know, if the Apple model like you talked about is becomes subscription to use more AI features and it's baked into Samsung, how likely are from a customer behavior perspective is that likely to influence? I think you bring up a great point. We're so locked in. I am Apple everything, even Apple TV. I wouldn't switch. I know how to use this. I know how to operate it. Um, and I think even though it's an arms race, right? Feature for not really feature for feature, but the Apple folks are going to remain the Apple folks. The Samsung folks going to remain the Samsung folks. And I think we're going to continue to see that jockeying for market share globally, because I just think consumers are, once behavior is set, it's really hard to change it.
Absolutely. I think the only thing I see changing it is the cost of hardware, because iPhones have gotten exorbitant.
Yes.
And I think that is something that younger people are maybe less concerned about.
So, but
That
people don't
they
feel
can
the
switch
cost.
digital na-
People don't feel the cost of the phones because it's wrapped into your carrier subscription often, right? If you upgrade, you sign on 2 years. They don't know the difference. But here's my take. I can't wait to see this year's WrestleMania and these two heavyweights go at it in a cage death match. Here's the facts. At the end of the day, in this corner, you've got Apple, OpenAI, and Microsoft. And in this corner, you've got Samsung and Google, right? And it's funny, it's the same fight over that we saw in the PC wars and the browser wars. And, is the Qualcomm Series 8 Snapdragon as good as what's the new iPhone 16? Is it the A20, the A18, whatever? It's optimized for AI, right? There's, at every step of the way here, these two go at it. What's interesting is because it's Google, though, you do have an integrated suite of work products, right? Google, whatever they call it, Workspace, that is now integrating that AI that integrates right into the phone system. Where on the other side, you have OpenAI, which is not really part of Microsoft, but sort of part of Microsoft, not really part of Apple, but sort of part of Apple. Hey, if we had a real FTC that was looking at monopolistic practices, I think Google's in trouble, frankly. But that being said, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to charge this for these things, because I'm telling you, it's going to be table stakes. It's going to be table stakes.
Oh, they're going to charge. I guarantee you. They may hide it, but they will have to. Somebody's going to always get the bill for all of this R&D, all of the expense of maintaining this infrastructure that is needed.
Whoever's coming up with the 500 billion will pay this too.
We missed you on that segment, Alan.
Oh, well,
Really
let me,
missed
all
you.
right. I'm glad you said that, because let me bring it up. If you didn't catch it yesterday, I started a new LinkedIn Live little video series called Shimmy Says. And I talked about this on Shimmy
saw
Says.
it.
So
Yep.
though it's not live, you could go get it on LinkedIn. It'll probably be on YouTube Shorts and TikTok, if we're still allowed to do TikTok. TikTok as well. It's Shimmy Says. And I spoke about this 500 billion. That's Stargate. I've got Stargate in my brain. Yeah, it was. I loved all of the Stargate iterations. But anyway, yes, someone's paying for it. So, look, those tech bros didn't invest all that money for nothing.
That's for sure.
Yep.
Good point.
Do we have anything else, Mr. Vizard?
No, well, I just wanted to show of hands. So who is Apple on this particular group here?
And I used to be an Apple hater,
I'm raising my
but I'm
half
all
hand
in.
because I'm raising a half hand because I do technically
Well,
have
but
an
it's
iPhone.
only your secret phone. I wonder what people do with a secret phone. You said that. I'm
Oh,
thinking.
all kinds of stuff.
I don't
All
know.
kinds of
Look, this is
stuff.
a family show. This is a family show. We may not want to share it.
No, I will say I have I handle sensitive information for my clients. So I'm not going to put anything Facebook on the same phone that
Really?
handles my work.
you
Yeah,
are-
absolutely.
Good for you. I didn't realize the level
That's
of
very good.
paranoia had reached that high, but that's pretty cool.
Maybe
You
Apple
say
would hide your
paranoia, I
Google
say
too.
caution.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that
I like
makes me
that.
the only Samsung person on this.
Well, no, and
I just recently got a Google. I've been Samsung up until this last phone. I tried the Google Pixel because I figured, my whole life's Google anyway. Why don't I just see whatever? I will never get another one.
I'm
going back-
like Lisa. I have Apple TV. I've got my watch, my phone, my Macs, my
The only thing-
iPads.
The only
I
thing
find,
I'm
yeah.
the only thing I'm ever really jealous of on the Apple side is that Yeah, Siri is a much better experience than Bixby ever will be, and Bixby is just
Oh, that's
Yeah.
who Bixby is? Bixby is the Google Siri?
Going away.
Version
Bixby's
of-
going away though.
Bixby's
Samsung.
Being
going
replaced by
away?
Google. Yeah, yeah. In the new phone,
It's Galaxy AI, which is going to be based on Gemini.
well,
Yeah.
they no,
So
they
give
still
it a chance.
they still have both. They hire, and you're supposed to figure out which one to use. And Bixby's an idiot, so I don't know.
Yeah, but they say over time Google is going to replace what Bixby does. So eventually, it's probably going to be gone.
John, you wanted to say something?
Oh, no, I like tried Google Pixel actually. You know, the weird thing is I can't use a Macintosh or an iPad or desktop is completely PC. I just refuse to go back because it's so counterintuitive to me. I used to write for Apple Trade Magazine, and so the phone is just, oh, hello. The phone is just, that I'll always stick with it.
Go figure.
The
Anyway,
bias.
we will see how this plays out. I
Thanks
think,
for joining our consumer focus group here on Techstrong Gang.
you know what? Maybe we could do this for product development. We could be a focus group.
We're available.
Right?
for
We
fees.
are the
We are
digital
available.
twins. Okay. Hey, this is a great Techstrong Gang. We've got a full day of Friday Techstrong TV following it. Do check out my Shimmy Says show. I'm interested to hear what you say. And next Thursday at 2:30, you can join me live on LinkedIn if you want to participate in that. But until then, have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy it. I hope it's warmer or safer wherever you are. And or colder, I guess, depending where you are. But we'll be back Monday with more Techstrong Gang, more fun. Until then, this is Alan Schimmel for Techstrong. We're out.